The final sacrifice of the tank driver. In 1944, on the borders of France during the raging Second World War, Jacques Laurent, a 28-year-old farmer and mechanic, was called to serve his country. As he left his small village, he whispered a final promise to his aging mother. "I will come back home." But war knows no promises. Jacques was trained as a Sherman, tank driver, and soon became known among his unit for his bravery, quick thinking, and the quiet determination in his eyes. Every night when the guns fell silent, he would take out a small pocket watch and look at a faded photo of his mother, reminding himself what he was fighting for. On a cold morning near the Ardennes, Jacques' unit received orders to halt an incoming wave of German Panther tanks. Jacques looked at his crew, Louis the gunner, Pierre the loader, and Michel the commander, men who had become like brothers. As the battle began, fire and steel tore across the field. One by one, Jacques' comrades fell. Only Jacques and Pierre remained inside their battered Sherman. Pierre handed Jacques the last remaining shell and whispered, "Don't let this be for nothing." Jacques knew what he had to do. With no thought for his own safety, he steered the tank straight toward the advancing enemy. Amid the chaos and the smoke, Jacques crashed into the German line. Moments later, the Sherman was hit, exploding into flames. After the battle, amidst the ruins, a soldier's hand lifted a battered pocket watch from the rubble near the wrecked tank. On the tank's twisted hull, Jacques' ID plate was still visible, the only mark left of the man who had sacrificed everything. Years later, on Memorial Day in Jacques' village, a bronze bust of him stood at the center of the square. Children in tricolor sashes stood before it, singing poems of love and patriotism. Jacques' name lived on, whispered by the grass and carried in the wind, a symbol of love, loyalty, and the ultimate sacrifice for his country. Years had passed since the war's end, but in the small French village where Jacques Laurent was born, his absence was still felt like a quiet ache. His mother, Marie Laurent, a gray-haired woman with kind but tired eyes, walked every morning to the village square. There, beneath the bronze bust of her son, she would lay fresh wildflowers, bluebells, and daisies, the flowers Jacques had loved as a boy. The village had rebuilt after the war. The houses were patched, the roads repaired, and life returned to the fields. But Marie's home remained simple, almost unchanged. Jacques' room still had his old work boots by the door, his favorite book on the bedside table, and a folded letter he had never sent home. Every year on November 11th, the village gathered to remember. Children recited poems, veterans saluted, and the mayor gave a short speech about bravery and sacrifice. But Marie noticed something that warmed her heart. It wasn't just the old who came to remember. Jacques, the young, came too. Little boys played at soldiers near the square, and little girls ran their fingers over Jacques' name on the monument. Teachers told his story in school, and young men spoke of him as a hero who had helped win their peace. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Pierre, the only surviving member of Jacques' crew, knocked on Marie's door. He was older now, with silver in his hair, and his eyes carried the weight of memory. "I promised myself," Pierre said softly, holding out Jacques' pocket watch, "that I would bring this home." Marie's hands trembled as she took it. The cracked glass, the frozen hands, the name Jacques engraved on the back. It was as if her son had come home, if only in spirit. The next morning, when the villagers gathered, Marie placed the watch at the base of Jacques' statue. No words were spoken, only the quiet sound of the wind moving through the trees. Jacques Laurent had become more than a soldier. He was a symbol of duty, of sacrifice, and of love that never faded. And though his body never returned, his memory walked the village paths, lived in the laughter of the children, and stood eternal in bronze. Beneath the endless French sky,